We'll have a recording. There we go. Because I think folks would like to watch this back and see it and get some tips. I'm going to give you some tips tonight. One of my things, and I don't know if this applies to any of you, but that I just have these grandiose ideas that I'm just going to have 18 pumpkins on my table. And then I never get the idea until the week before. And then there's really no, you're all smiling and laughing at that. And then there's really no chance that I can get all of those done unless I didn't do anything else. And as you all know, we all have other things that we knit and that we work or crochet and things that we work on. So, but I am starting to get a little bit of a collection. So I thought, now just be kind to yourself. And if you make one pumpkin a year, in 20 years, you'd have 20 pumpkins. I wouldn't have my 20 to set on the table, but you know, we've been doing this a long time. And I have had staff and customers that have made like 20, 25, 30 pumpkins, all of those kinds of things. So we're going to show you kind of some fun varieties. I've got some tips for you. I'm going to show you how I did my most recent one, because there's a little trick to it that you use with a crochet hook. So I do want to show you that, and then show you some patterns. And I'm sure you guys maybe have some things too. And I have a tip on your fiber fill stuffing as well. So I've got some patterns to share. So if you've got a piece of paper and want to be able to write some of those down, I'm also going to show you where you can go on Ravelry to be able to access the patterns that, not access, but at least have a list of them. So that then you can say, okay, I'm going to go there, and then I would be able to find them there. But you might want a piece of paper for some those, and some of the patterns are purchased and some of them are free. And I'll try to tell you which ones those are as well. So we're going to go over to the little pump. We're going to jump around a little bit, I guess, here. So let's go to the pumpkin patch, and we'll talk through some of these little pumpkins. This one was like the very first pumpkin. Cindy, you would remember these. We made so many of these little pumpkins. And they're really super simple. So these you might be able to get done 18 of them in time for your Thanksgiving table, if you would like to. And they're just a super little, and I'll tell you the names now. And then when we're all done, we'll go to Ravelry and we'll look at the patterns. But this is called Jack B. Little Pumpkin. And it's by The Sitting Tree. And so you don't necessarily have to worry. I'll take you to Ravelry and show them. But this is a super little simple one that is just knit kind of like a little tube. And then you just whip it up and you stuff it. And then you would pull through the stitches on the top. So he's a nice little one that works well. A couple of years ago, we really buffalo plaid, and of course buffalo plaid is still very popular. So there is a buffalo plaid knitted pumpkin. These are crocheted pumpkins, and this one is a little hard to find. It is called 3 Rustic Pumpkins, and she's got even some other kind of a crochet stitches that she's done here with these others, but it is on Etsy, and it is done by Megan Shamiz, Shaimes. And I think you can go to Etsy, and it's free, but you got to go through the whole process of downloading, putting it in your cart and getting it for her. But it is super neat too. All of these pumpkins are basically knit like this or crocheted like this. You basically knit a hat, so to speak, and you may or may not do decreasing at the top, and then you'll cinch them in. So they're really all knit like that. And so last a lot of them have a little leaf that you can do with them. 2 years ago, I can't remember because of COVID, if we did it. Val and I were saying, did we even put any decorations out last year? But we did this one in the orange. And then one of the things that a lot of them will tell you to do is go grab sticks. So I got all kinds of tips for you. I've learned so much in all these years. So these I would have gotten from my yard. One of the things that I don't do very well is I don't glue them in, because I think, well, why would I want to glue them in? What if I wanted, and I'm like, that's silly. So this year I glued them in. So we're going to talk about that. But this is what happens when you don't glue them in. They don't go in very well. But this is a super fun, both of these, it's the same pattern. It's a 3-color pattern. This is Lamb's Pride worsted that we used. And you need the 3 colors kind of to make the buffalo kind of look. This little, see, I can't get the stick to stand. This little guy, same deal with the stick, comes out like this. Okay. This pumpkin, I like the idea of using pumpkins for leftovers. So I also believe that your pumpkin shouldn't have to just look like a pumpkin. I mean, color wise. So these are just leftovers of big wool from Rowan. So it's a bulky weight. So any bulky weight that you might have, Rasta or any of those. And I just did this one as a stripe. And this inspiration came from, there we go, I lost it. This is from this pattern, Knit Pumpkins 2. And this is the Fit Food Art Shop. And if you follow her on Instagram, when you can get on Instagram, which I think you can now again, what a day. We are all out of sorts because we couldn't do our Facebook Live, but we'll be back tomorrow at 1 o'clock. But she has got some really fun, different, she's carrying, doing a little color work. She's doing a little rib here. And the one thing I did with this pumpkin that I wish I had done differently is I just did the 4 sections. And a pumpkin, the last one I did really needs it. She suggested 9. And I think this little guy would benefit from 9, or even, what would I need? 4 more sections to give it more of a pumpkin look. I'm going to tell you that you have to kind of be satisfied with a pumpkin this size. It's really hard to make tall pumpkins and big pumpkins because you make them tall, and then by the time you cinch them down, they all kind of just get down to this size. So you kind of have to be okay. I think in crochet, there are several crochet patterns out there that can go taller, because those are knots stacked on top of each other, and you get a little firmer fabric with that as well. But this just shows a fun way to use your different colors and use your leftovers. I think that's always a good thing to use. This one, I really stuck the stem down. So those have been the pumpkins from the previous year. Now this year, we have the little posy kit, and with the little pumpkin from Rosie Posy Knits. I when I first looked at these kits and she contacted me to buy them, I'm like, oh, well, a pumpkin's a pumpkin. I have these little pumpkins and I was kind of satisfied with these. And now that I've done this little pumpkin, I don't really like those other little pumpkins. Okay. So this is a lovely little pumpkin. We've shown you the kit. You cast on and join to work in the circle, and then you do knit 2 together, knit 2 together, knit 2 together around several times until you get it kind of, 40 some stitches, and then you'll knit plain, and then you do decreases, and it's really nice. And what I really like about this pumpkin is I think it looks like those little pumpkins. I don't know what they're called. Somebody told me. That you buy, that you could set. She has a leaf that you can put on this. And this is just a little I-cord. And when you do an I-cord for a pumpkin or anything, when you thread the the yarn back down, you pull it, and then that makes your little stem bend. So this one isn't quite as obvious, but you can see where I kind of pulled it down, and it gives it a little bit of character. So that pattern comes free with those kits, and I'll show you the whole kit here in a minute. Then this is like my showstopper right here. And I had seen this on Instagram, and this one is called, let me make sure I get you the right name. This one is called, and this one is a purchased one, I believe. And the Knit Two Together Pumpkins, this is called the Autumn Gold Pumpkin. And you can see that she's got instructions for carrying. I carry 2 colors, but she's got it where you would do a second color up these veins. And the other thing that's really nice about this, and this is by Asha Arun. The other thing that she has in here is some really nice pictorial tutorials, of which I'm going to show you one. She also takes you step by step on how to stuff the pumpkin. So what I did with this one is it wants a bulky weight yarn. So like a Rasa or a big wool or something, or like brown sheep, lamb's pride is kind of on that end of a bulkier weight, but I just, not quite. So I just threw 2 brown sheep, lamb's pride, worsted weight, that's a lot in my mouth, yarns together and held them together. You know, sometimes we knit our hats and we hold 2 yarns together. That's what I did with this. And I'm so pleased with how it turned out. I'm not so sure I might start that way if I were you, because you have to kind of get used to the pattern, and you have to get used to doing these veins, which I'll show you here in a minute. But when you cinch it up, you do the purl section. And so it just really works well. And one of the things that I did is I was trying to get this ready, of course, for last week's Facebook, and I did not have a stick. I moved from my acreage, so I don't really have very many sticks here. And I'm like, what am I going to do? Well, I went downstairs and I had a grapevine wreath. And so I flipped it. It had something on the front. So I flipped it over. And broke off a hunk of it. And then it even had this with it. So I think you guys would maybe know more. I think you can buy grapevines that aren't in a wreath, kind of like a swag. So I think that might be a good investment, because I think that adds a lot of character to this. And while I'm here, I'm just going to finish talking about it. I like to always put a little bit of raffia or ribbon on it. And then I decided just to grab one of these picks, you know, that you can get from Michael's or from Hobby Lobby. And then you can pull them apart. You can really get them apart. And lots of times they've got wire on them. And so then I just wound that wire around the stick. And I know these leaves aren't really pumpkin leaves, and pumpkins don't always necessarily have these little, I don't know, berries on them, but I think it looks really good. And I think it looks like what you pay $30-$40 with at a boutique shop. And, you know, the fact is that I made it really quickly. I also got one of these little, and right now all this stuff is really discounted, you know, 40%, 50. And pretty soon, if you think you want to make 18 someday for your table, go buy this stuff afterward. So then you would have it. But this would just work really well. And this would easily give, you know, I mean, look at if you did, even if we did our little guy over here, you know, if you put just a little bit of berry on it, that just gives it a little bit better, you know, a little more style. Let's, you know, maybe not on our black and white pumpkin, but he would look good on our orange kind of thing. So don't be afraid to dig around in your stuff and your storage and pull apart your grapevine wreath to be able to use it. So the other thing that I did is I really hot glued the heck out of this so that all these things would be really secure in there. Because I said to myself, I'm not going to take them out. This is what it is. I mean, maybe in 10 years, if it gets old and rumply looking, I could pull it apart. And, you know, hot glue gun, you could get it apart by that point. But do take your hot glue. And when I glue those, I glue them on I go in and get the perforation kind of made where I want it, get that hole opened up, pull it out, put the glue on, and let it set just a minute so that it can go down in there. Then I use another tool like a knife or maybe even a double point needle to press it into there because it's going to be a bit hot. And so you've got, you know, you got to have something to kind of hold it just for 4 or 5 seconds so that that glue sets. But you could try putting the glue in first and then putting the stick in. I just did the other way. I think it'd be worth trying that too. But boy, if you don't get it right, then you're dripping it all over your yarn. So I found this way to work really well. So I want to show you now my tutorial on how I'm doing, because I'm doing another one. And this is Noro. Noro's got some really great yarns that would make striped pumpkins. And every year I think, oh my gosh, I need to use Noro to make a pumpkin. So I'm sorry, I do not, I'll look this up for you, but this is kind of a solid Noro and it's bulky, but it's not super bulky. You'll notice that it doesn't show maybe as much as this, but the more I go up, the more I think it is going to show. It's a 4-row little thing. I'm sorry, it's dark. It's probably not dark in color. It's not going to show you the best, but I think I can give you the idea. So the most not challenging row, but the row where you make this, like this long stitch. See how that's a long stitch? So what you do with that long stitch, I want to read it to you. So I tell you what I'm actually saying with it. It's like DL and D, that means left, and then knit 3 and DL right. And some of you maybe have done this stitch. I know Kay and I talked, and she did a whole sweater where she did the stitch. So it's called the dip stitch. So it's called the dip stitch. And what you're going to do is you go down 4 stitches. So this pumpkin is worked. I see some of you have questions, so I'll come to them in a minute. This pumpkin is worked in 3 stitches of 3. 3 knits, 3 purls, 3 knits, 3 purls, 3 knits, 3 purls. And so on this row, I'm ready for the dip stitch. And so there's 1, 2, 3. You go down the middle stitch and you go down 4 stitches. And again, I'm sorry that this is a darker yarn. But what I would do, you kind of get your rhythm with it, so where you know what it is. So your stitch on your needle counts as 1. And then I kind of look for the bars. And so you could see that there's 1, 2, 3, 4. And it said that you can do this with your needle, but I found just using a crochet hook works the best. You put your crochet hook in, you wrap your yarn around it, and you pull that yarn through. Always looks better on, always more than what you think. So here we go. We pull it through like that. And then you put that up on the needle and you just give it a gentle tug. So you don't want to really tighten it down, And then you're going to slip that. That's your dipped stitch. And you'll take your working yarn and you'll knit the next 1, 2, 3, and then you're going to dip again. And what's nice is you've already kind of found it. And so you'll go right into where that was before. Your yarn's back there. Grab it with your crochet hook. Don't be afraid to pull it out, way out. Who cares? Because you can snug it up like that. And then you slip that over. And now you see how I've got that dip stitch. And then you would do 2 pearls or 3 pearls. I'm sorry. 3 pearls. Okay. And now let's do it again so that you can see. So you're going to go right and then you're going to go left. And so this is a row of stitches. This is a row of stitches. This is your middle row of stitches. And you go 1, 2, 3, 4, dip in. Do I always get 4? So I think so, but maybe not. I don't sweat it. And I pull that stitch over. 1, 2, 3. Okay. And then we're going to go down again, get it, put it up. And you're going to go all the way around with those along. So now instead of 3 stitches, I have 5. And we won't take the time to go through all 4 rows, but basically what you're going to do is after you've gone all the way around, then this you're going to SSK. Oh no, I'm sorry. You slip 1 and you knit 3, slip 1, purl 3. You follow the pattern, you'll be able to do it. Then on the 3rd round, you SSK these together and get back to 3 stitches, knit this, knit 2 together, and then you're back to 3 stitches. And so the next one is just a slipping round, and that elongates that even more. And it's just those 4 rounds. And she says to repeat it 6 times or 7 or 8 times, or I did the most, whatever the pattern says. I did the most because I knew that these patterns, these pumpkins scrunch down. And so that's why I did the most. And I really believe this is as wide as my green one too. And then when you do your veins, the other thing is you'll run it down this pearl ridge here. The other thing you'll want to know that I did not do, and she states it in the pattern, but I don't know if any of you are like me. I'm always moving forward. I'm not necessarily reading the pattern. You need to cast on and you need to leave 24 inches or more because you're going to use that to create your veins through the pumpkin. Now, I'm probably not going to do that with the Noro because of how much Noro breaks. So I will go find a brown or maybe even an orange to do my veins with. You really don't see the veins too much because you pull it super, super tight. And she's got great instructions. You'll come up through here and push it through and then pull it tight and pull it tight and pull it tight. One other thing before I come for questions, I want to show you, well, I've got the camera here, is when we did our knitted knockers, Marty, she just had that all down, the representative for that. And she got me turned on to this polyfill. And it's the ultra plush. It's the super soft polyester ultra plush with a purple band on it. And I got this at Joann's. And of course, as you know, this is like for life, unless you're stuffing bears or I don't know. But it is super nice batting. And I know we all have batting at home and that works too. But she uses this when she stuffs her knitted knockers because it gives a nicer, more even fill. And so I did go buy a bag of this. I've had it for a while and I use that to do mine. Other things you can do for stuffing your pumpkins is you could use what we call roving. And that would be non-spun yarn. It's just the yarn that isn't spun tight. It's roving. And I don't carry it. I don't have room for it, but you can buy some roving, like green roving or red roving or orange roving. And then when you stuff it, sometimes our stuffing kind of pops through. The roving will look the same color. But like on this green one, you can't see any fiberfill coming through there at all. I mean, like I said, this is a showstopper for me. I mean, I feel like I've really arrived with this pumpkin. It makes me enthused to think about knitting another one. And I have to tell you, my little Nora one is knitting up much faster than that one. And it wasn't that it took a long time, but let's see what your questions are. Beautiful. Could use a cinnamon stick. Absolutely. That would be a fun look, but Mary says she's having trouble finding them. Yeah, that could be true. Just like everything else, we're having trouble finding them. So questions that you have about construction or anything that you have run into, wave or raise your hand. Yeah, Lori.
I have so much trouble using double points. Can the pumpkins be done with magic loop?
Always.
Okay.
There you go.
Okay.
Now, my little green one, I actually did on a 32-inch needle, and it was just a little tight because it's, you're dealing with bulky yarn. So this is the 40-inch, but pretty much everything from this little pumpkin guy, I would do on a magic loop. I do everything. I'm not my double points are right here, and I get them out strictly just to look at them. I don't. So good question. Thank you. Okay. Good question. Other questions? The crochet one, I did this one, I think I did do this one. I did one of them, and I'm not that much. I think it's just a double crochet stacked on top. And then it's more challenging with the crochet is changing the color, because you are changing the color every, 2 and 1 and 2 and 1 and that. And then the next row, but just this crochet one is the same way. You just build it vertical and then you whip it up and do the veins just like all of your pumpkins. So they're all kind of done like a hat without the crown, and they're pulled up and stitched together. Other questions? Other pumpkins you've made? Anybody? Mary Torty.
Sorry, I was muted. I was just playing with this one this season. It's, I don't know if you can see it very well. It's called a Sidewinder pumpkin. And I made it with Rasta. And
fabulous.
Aspen Leaf Knits is where I found it, and I think that was on Ravelry. But this whole little Sidewinder knit was a little challenge, but I liked it.
So say it again, Sidewinder knits. We'll go to Ravelry.
Pumpkin, and the person who wrote the pumpkin is Aspen Leaf Knits. And I think it was $4 or $5 for the pattern.
Yeah,
but I really like
that's neat. Yeah, really neat. Good, fun to share those things. Who else? Elizabeth.
I also did the buffalo pumpkin, and I put a vine on it. So I didn't do just one leaf, and so I made multiple leaves and just did just crocheted and made vines, and so starting to embellish like you are. There we go. Embellish it a little bit more. And then one of the companions with that buffalo check was this, and I think it's something about bean. It's in the same pattern with the buffalo check, but it's a crochet as well. but I really
cute.
like the texture.
That's really cute.
It is really cute. And the bean stitch itself was a little challenging only because I tended to get it very tight when I was, because you keep pulling loops, you loop and loop and loop and loop and then take a stitch through it. And so it was a little challenging at first to make sure I stayed loose. But I really like this one, but it was time consuming. This one took me much longer than the buffalo check.
Okay, really? Wow.
Yeah, yeah. Well, it's a
Interesting.
lot. I mean, it, and you, oh, and
Yeah,
the
it-
nice thing is though, you don't have to do the veins because you've got these beans gives you the appearance of the veins. So that's kind of nice.
That's neat. That's neat.
Mhm.
Yeah. Very good. Thanks for sharing. Who
Welcome.
else? Cindy, were you saying something? No? Okay. Let's go to Ravelry. I have a couple other fall patterns to show you. So one of the things that we have worked on is in Ravelry, you would go to community and go to people. Are you seeing my Ravelry screen? Yeah, okay. All right. And then you would search for KPS projects. Maybe some of you have been here. Oh, did I mean KPS? Yeah, all one word. So I have my business on there, but I can't have I don't have the projects, which is kind of goofy. I mean, you kind of do, but you don't. So we have this brainstorm to just be a person. So we have KPS projects, and then you can go there and it tells kind of what we're about. And then you can go to the 92. No, we're not going to go there. Okay, let me go back. You go to the favorites. And if you hit the favorites, then what I have done in here is I have made bundles. And so here, and Kay actually maintains this, but here is our bundles, Pumpkins Fall. And so there are all those patterns that we talked about that then you can go link to. The 3 rustic pumpkins, so the buffalo plaid one, that she's not on Ravelry. This is strictly an Etsy pattern. So I thought maybe she'd even be on here. I put on there the little leaf. We did these leaves in the spring, but these leaves would be fun. You could make 18 of those probably to scatter around. And one year we did these little autumn leaves, which is this pattern over here. And these are super fun to do. And they have a nice little vein. This is done out of woolstock worsted. And I actually hung mine to look just like this one. And those are hanging in the shop. So you can go to our Ravelry page and find the Pumpkins Fall and put things in there. I didn't log out because I didn't want to mess with trying to figure out my password and come back in. So I did this early on. It is a little owl cup koozie. And so you see how it looks like a little owl on there. And that too could be done with the magic loop. And I'm sure that it is in there. But for you, I'll show you. For you would go to KPS projects and then go find and we'll try to kind of keep these updated so that you can go there. If we have been on Facebook Live today, we would have talked to you about the Blue Sky bundles. So the Blue Sky bundles are in here, and we have got them restocked. And so then these are the patterns that go with those absolutely darling little Blue Sky bundles. And that's what I used to make the little leaves. Now these bundles are kind of Christmassy looking, but those leaves would be kind of pretty that way. Let's go one more place. And I'm going to look at buffalo, plaid, pumpkin. And then like this one is knit. So that would replicate the crocheted one. If you wanted to if you didn't want to crochet it, it's by Ann Johnston, Cozy. And you know, in Ravelry, you have to get them right. You can't, it can't just say buffalo plaid much. You have to kind of have the cozy in there. So, you know, you can get on here and there are lots and lots. Let's see if we can find that owl. I think it's a cozy cup. Let's look and see if we can find that. There he is. Owl coffee cup cozy. When I get to the shop tomorrow, I'll put these in the KPS one. Like right now I'm in mine. I don't want to log out. I want to try to figure out my passwords or I'll be logged out of everything. So this is just a really fun, it's a little cable pattern. And the trick is really getting the eyes. I use just a beaded eye because I didn't like the googly eyes. I didn't want a googly eye kind of thing. So all kinds of fun things. And I also have a candy corn bunting, but I can't find my bunting. I don't quite know where that is. And I can't find the pattern. So if I find it, I'll get it up there for you. But I'm like, Val, where is that? I have no idea. We can't find it. So, but it's very cute. It's, you know, the orange, the green, and the cream on top. So fun, fun, fun. Any other questions or sharing you want to show? Any more pumpkins you have? Oh, we should have looked at, you found yours, didn't you, Mary? I wanted to find your pattern. I'm going to go back over there and find that pattern.
Yeah, it was the Sidewinder.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know. Does that help? What?
Yeah. Let's see if we can find it.
It's a really bad print job.
Sidewinder.
Yeah.
There it is. There it is. Aspen leaves. Very good. I'm going to save it in my favorites. And you know, in your favorites, you can put them, you can build all these bundles and things. Now, this is my personal one. I like it. Very nice. I did bring a couple of the yarns home. I love to use Rowan Big Wool. And we just got 18 more colors in. So we're really stocked for colors. This is the Lamb's Pride worsted. I think this color is gorgeous. This was antique brass, I think. Yeah, antique brass 144. And then of course the little kits. I keep telling you guys about this salve in here. It's worth it just for the salve. And what's really nice about it is you just get everything in there. So, and she's got the Ravelry link then to get the patterns for the little pumpkin. And then she's got a bigger pumpkin in there. And let me go while we're here. Let's go to Knit Paper Scissors. And let's look up that. Let's look up that Noro. So we got our blue sky bundles on. Let's go down to yarn. And any of the Noros would be really cool because Noro stripes. Where's Noro? Anybody see it? And oh, there it is. Okay. All right. So Bocce is a bulky yarn. And this would make a great pumpkin. And that's Bocce #1. And those big balls skeins in Noro, they're like equivalent to 4 50 grand skeins. So I'm pretty confident you could get 2, if not 3 pumpkins out of this. But look, what if you wanted to do a fun psychedelic one? Wouldn't that be cool? I mean, you got to think outside the box. You don't want to you don't want all your pumpkins to look the same. So the yarn I'm using for this one, the bocce is nice and large. Ito would work as well. Curion, it is a Tessudio. And I must be using, I'm using this one, Tessudio 24. That's the orangey one. But even this red would be pretty. The 26 would be pretty. The green, I'm just really fond of my green pumpkin that I did. And again, I held 2 lamb's prides together to get a variegated kind of look. But I even think a purple pumpkin would be fun. It's become all kinds of things. So Noro would be a great, this one is going to look solid, but the other ones, let's see if we can get the back button. Where's my back button? The other ones are going to stripe. Tabby is not as heavy. The heavier ones, Miyabi would be beautiful, but it's cashmere, which is not a bad thing. But if you want you're going to pay more for your cashmere pumpkin, but it would be beautiful. It would be, Ito would be the best, and bocce is actually really good. Inca, let's see, it's not quite as heavy, but you can get an idea of how these stripes, so your pumpkin would stripe too. Wouldn't that be cool? It would do all the work for you. Oh yes, Connie's telling us that the teal pumpkins indicate allergy-free treats, which is correct. Thank you. All right, well, that's a tour of my patch. So I'd love to see some of yours if you need some help with it. We're happy to help you at the shop. Any other questions? Okay, everyone, great to see you. Happy fall decorating. And remember, 1 pumpkin a year. In 20 years, you'll have 20. And you'll either be gifting them to your kids, or somebody will come into your house and say, oh, she was such a knitter. And now look at all this stuff. Look at all this stuff she's got here. Oh my gosh. But I know Anne's on, and I was my friend Anne, we went down and went through your mom's aprons, and that was really fun, wasn't it? All of her beautiful aprons, and so hopefully someday somebody will appreciate all of our all of our craziness. We'll be doing Facebook Live tomorrow at 1. We're going to have a drawing. We had so much fun planned. We were so frustrated, but it is what it is. And we'll come back at it tomorrow, and it's the whole day. So you can watch it later in the day and still be in the drawing. So, okay, everyone, thanks for being on. Happy fall. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, Angie.
Uh-huh.
Thanks a lot.
Bye-bye. You bet. Bye-bye.